Minecraft Championship is back once again for its 11th season. The teams are as interesting as ever, with some new faces like Connor Eats Pants and Dan TDM, along with returning players like Curtsy, Tubbo, Fruitberries, and more. It is looking like it is going to be the best season yet. But before we get into the teams, did you know that according to Taz Taylor and Nick Myra, only 1.7% of people who watch my videos are subscribed? That number is so tiny. To make that number bigger, go ahead and click the green subscribe button on your screen right now. Leaving a like and comment also helps too. If you watched one of these videos by me before, you will know that I like to rank teams based on how many points the players average per game. And for the most part, that is how I rank these teams, with a few exceptions. For the people who haven't watched my videos before, I made this template team, the Grey GUNNAS, to explain how I rank the teams. The number beneath everyone's name means how many points they average per game. For example, I average 13 points per game. If there is an NA under someone's name, it means they haven't played before. The number to the right of the team's name is how many points per player this team averages. To find that number, I add up everyone's average points and then divide that by how many players have played before. I ignore any new players on the team. This means that Grey Gunna's average points per player is 5,291, which is the best I have ever seen. Now let's get into the ranking. Starting off at number 10, we have the Orange Oozes. This team consists of Finster, Curtsy, Mini Muka, and CPK. Their best player is Curtsy and their worst player is Finster. They average 2,094 points per player. While this team doesn't seem like it would be bad, I don't think this team will do very well at all. Finster is not very good in Minecraft Championship, and Mini Muka isn't that good either. This means that Curtsy and CPK would have to carry, and even though Curtsy is pretty good, I doubt CPK will be able to carry, and even then they would have to compete with teams with better players than Curtsy. Moving on to number 9, we have the Red Ravens. This team consists of Captain Sparkles, Nihachu, Filza, and Tubbo. Their best player is Filza and their worst player is Nihachu. Their average points per player is 2,097, just 3 more than the previous team. Again, this team doesn't seem like they would be that bad, but the numbers don't lie. Like Curtsy, Filza isn't a bad player, but he isn't strong enough to carry a team like Quig or Pete. Captain Sparkles and Tubbo are okay, and maybe they can perform above average, but I really don't see that happening. Going on to number 8, we have the Aqua Abominations, with Inda Littlewood, Catherine Elizabeth, Krinios, and Solidarity Gaming. Their best player is Krinios, and their worst player is Catherine Elizabeth. They average 2,106 points per game. This team doesn't really have a good player, and they have 3 decent players and 1 not so good player. I think that will hurt them a lot considering they don't have any strong players to lead them into more points, so I think this team won't do very well. Heading into number 7, we have the Green Goblins with Connor Eats Pants, James Charles, King Burn, and Pizza Hut. Their best player is Pizza Hut and their worst player is James Charles. They average 2,260 points. Now this team was originally in 6th place, but I moved the 7th place team way up because I thought that this team, and the next team's points, were skewed to having a new member. Connor Eats Pants could very well get 40th place this tournament, and if he doesn't, he certainly won't be helping out the team at all. James Charles is the same way, and Burren is only an average player, meaning Pizza Hut would have to go to superhuman lengths to have his team qualify for Dodgebolt, but even then he would still have to carry there. While this team might not get last, I think this team has the least chance of winning. Moving on to 6th place, we have the Mustard Mummies with Dan TDM, Pearlescent Moon, Quig, and Smallish Beans. Their best player is Quig, and their worst player is Pearlescent Moon. They average 2,333 points per player. This team is similar to Pete's team, although their bad players are slightly better than Pete's team. I'm pretty confident that Dan TDM and Pearlescent Moon will get over 1,000 points, even if they only end up with 1,300 or something. However, I am not so confident that Connor and James will get over 1,000 points, which is why the Mummies are above them. This team was originally ranked 5th, but I moved the team above them as well. Going into 5th place, we have the Violet Vampires with Fundy, Quackity, Tommy Innit, and Wilbur. Their best player is Tommy, and their worst player is Wilbur. They average 2,367 points per player. Now this team has the potential to be pretty good if they actually try, while Quackity is in the same boat as Connor and James. Fundy and Tommy can actually be pretty good if they try, and Wilbur can be pretty average too. However, I highly doubt this team will try, which is why I moved them down from 4th to 5th. Heading into 4th place, we have the Lime Liches with False Symmetry, Fruit Berries, Green, and Rendog. Their best player is Fruit, and their worst player is Rendog. They average 2,153 points per player. This team is the one I moved all the way up from 7th to 4th, and did that for 2 reasons. The first reason is that the teams initially in 6th through 4th had a new player that would almost certainly lower their average points per player. The second reason is that the Hermits' average points per game has been skewed by the amount of seasons they played where they didn't try. Now, they are actually trying. And while they aren't techno levels of good, they're all decent players. Add that to the addition of Fruit Berries, one of the best players in the tournament, and the Lime Liches are a pretty good team. Moving on to the team in 3rd place, just barely missing Dodgebolt. We have the Blue-Black Cats. This team consists of S Major, F Whip, H Bomb, and Shovel. Their best player is H Bomb, and their worst player is Shovel. They average 2,391 points per player. This team is all around pretty good. They have one standout player with H Bomb, and the other 3 are average players. I think this team does have a shot at winning, although there is also a chance that they underperform due to not having a super good player like Quir on their team. Now coming in at number 2, we have the Cyan Centipedes. This team consists of Technoblade, Captain Puffy, Kara Corvus, and Tapel. Their best player is Technoblade, and their worst player is Kara Corvus. This team averages 2,425 points per player. This team is a pretty good team, with Technoblade obviously being the standout player. Tapel can also get above 3,000 points if he tries, but he isn't that consistent with it. Kara and Captain Puffy are also decent players, which is why I think this team will make it to Dodgebolt. Lastly, the team I think will get the most points is the Fuschia Frankensteins. This team consists of Dream, George Not Found, Sapnap, and Carl Jacobs. Their best player is Dream, and their worst player is George Not Found, although it will almost certainly be Carl Jacobs. They average 2,783 points per player. This team is similar to the Dream Team's team in Season 7, as they have the 3 Dream Team members and one person who is there to tie them down. While Carl Jacobs will probably do worse than Sylvie did, as it is his first time, I think everyone else will improve. Sapnap has actually had time to play in the tournament, and George Not Found also underperformed the week they were all teamed together. While I was originally going to put this team in 3rd place myself, I also realized that all 4 of them know each other pretty well, which is an advantage over the 2nd and 3rd place teams. Also, they have the most average points per player by 300 points, which is why I put them in number 1. Now, between the Centipedes and the Frankensteins, who will win Dodgebolt? Well, on paper, it seems like it is a toss-up. If you go into each player's individual history, it is much more sided towards the Centipedes. The Frankensteins have a combined 3 appearances and 1 win, although they seem like the more PvP-oriented team. Technoblade has 3 appearances alone and has won 2 of those times. Kara has been in it once and won once, while Puffy has been in it twice and won twice. Tapel hasn't appeared in Dodgebolt ever, but he is certainly better at PvP than Carl Jacobs is. The math I did so that the players in the Fuschia Frankensteins win 1 out of every 3 Dodgebolt appearances, while the players in the Cyan Centipedes win 2 out of every 3 Dodgebolt appearances. While we could see an upset with the Frankensteins being the Centipedes, I believe that the Centipedes would win Dodgebolt in this scenario. That is my ranking of all of the teams in Season 11 of Minecraft Championship, and remember, this is just my opinion. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. I do analyses of the teams every game, and I also have a video coming up about the teams for Minecraft Ultimate Season 3, so stay tuned for that. I will see you in the next video.
Now I'm in a spaceship to see. Baby, tell me what you ride for me, die for me. Now that I'm up, they go get rid of me, sick of me. Baby, tell me you gonna be by my side, gonna be by